Usually I will do this, but if they're not looking at you, it's a missed opportunity. So much to do. My kiddos love pointers. So I saw these at the dollar store. I was like, yes. Can never go wrong with more pointers. These are great for reading around the room. Kids love walking around with them, pointing at words and reading them. Happy Monday. It is almost 6 o'clock, so I'm going to keep today's recording as brief as I possibly can. I just want to stop in to tell you guys about our social studies time block, which is at the end of the day, the last hour, 15 minutes. I had 3 parent volunteers come in, and originally they were supposed to come in last Friday, but some things came up and we had to cancel last Friday and reschedule for today, and it worked fantastic. We had 3 parents come in and they had their questions. I gave each group the list of questions that the kids had written out already. So that's what they were listening in for when they were listening to the stories being read. And then we have all of these wonderful books thanks to the Chicago Public Library. These were the books for India that the kids could look through, and the parent that was in charge of the group of India sat down and read some of these books to the kiddos, which was absolutely fantastic. So each parent sat with 4 or 5 kids and read them books about their own country. And then they had Post-its. They could mark the pages if they wanted to. Once they were done and the timer was up, they spent about 20 minutes reading. After the 20 minutes was finished, they sat down at the writing table and each child wrote down 2 interesting facts that they learned about their own country. That was great. And then for kindergartners, let's put Mexico here. And then for kindergarten students, they wrote down their sentences for them with dictation, and then the kids copied it down. And then the first and second graders were able to sound out and write their own sentences. So that worked out beautifully. And then after everybody was finished writing out their sentences, they talked as a group and decided on how they wanted to present this information to the rest of the class. There were some groups, a couple of kids decided they're going to act it out. Most of them wanted to draw pictures, illustrate it, and then read it and share it with their friends. There was a group that started it with singing a little bit, so it was just beautiful. They ended it with their presentations. The kids did a wonderful job listening, being a good audience member, and the presenters were fantastic. The only thing we can definitely improve on, some of our students are still speaking very quietly, and it's really hard to hear them, and you don't want to interrupt their presentation to say, speak up. Usually I will do this, but if they're not looking at you, it's a missed opportunity. So all in all, they did a fantastic presentation. I could not have done this without the parents that came in. Today's lesson was a huge success. This would have taken me at least a whole week to get done. At first I was worried that I'm not going to be able to finish the unit in time, which was the end of this week, and we were able to finish it today. The only dilemma was I had 3 kids that were absent, so I'm going to have to speak with their parents and ask them to do this research at home and come to school and present for the rest of the class, which I'm sure that will be perfectly fine too. And hopefully we'll be able to be done with this unit for sure either by tomorrow or by Wednesday. Tomorrow I'm going to do computer class since it was supposed to be today and we postponed and had the parents come in. We didn't have computer and technology class today. That will be perfect. If we do that tomorrow, it'll give me a chance to work with the kids that are coming in tomorrow that were absent, kind of help them catch up, and maybe by the end of tomorrow they can present. Who knows? So that was great. I did get a chance to go to the dollar store and pick up a bunch of stickers. That was awesome. So I got through a bunch of their papers. I'm going to go ahead and finish the pile. I only have a little bit left. I'm going to go ahead and file those in their mailboxes, and that will be done. That's about it for Monday. We had a great Monday. Hopefully we'll have another great day tomorrow. I hope you had a wonderful day as well. See you tomorrow. Bye. So much to do. So today I have to go through these papers, take them out, and then file them so they're put away. I would like to send all of these home. The completed bin, I have to go through these today. This is just from yesterday's presentation, so it looks like a lot, but there's not really that much in there. I have to go through the papers that are in here, take out what was used. I'm going to continue using this for the Kindergarten Literacy Center because they're not done. What they're doing is they're making their own books. Of course, their names are on it. So I'll just quickly cover it like that. So A is for alligator, B is for bee, C is for camel. How cute is that? That's just adorable. So they can look through the cards and get ideas, but they do not have to use the pictures that they see on here, obviously. So they do not have to use the pictures on here. They can come up with their own, but this is a really nice center, and this will take a while. So I'm going to just organize this and just set it up so it looks nice and neat and continue this. This is one of their literacy centers. This is for kindergarten literacy, and then this is also for, this literacy center is not just for kindergarten, that's for first and second grade as well if they want to use it. This is for sight words. They just do rainbow writing for this. And I had an example in here, but looks like the kids took it out. But here you can see one, S-H-E, she, one of the kids did that one. So I have their sight words right now. These are the sight words for kindergarten, and then they do their rainbow writing in there. When they're done, they turn it in, but of course it's a mess. So I have to go through that to make it look nice and neat, and then I'm going to take out some of the books from here. These are level A readers. I have a couple of kids that are already past level A. I'm going to do more of their reading assessments today to finish that in kindergarten, and then put some level B books on a different tray. The classroom board looks nice and clean. I'm happy about that. That looks good. I have to go and clean the top of the heater. I just kind of piled a bunch of stuff in, on, and around. When I'm busy, I just kind of like end up leaving it there. So that needs to be put away. And then of course, nobody wants to see the condition of the table that I left it in. These books, I have to pack them up and they're gonna go back to the library. Have to file these papers away in their mailboxes. I looked at them yesterday and then gave them their stickers, and then there's a pile of papers, if they don't have a name on it, they go into the garbage can. The kids know that, but I always give them a chance to claim their papers. I hate throwing away work that they really, really worked on. I'm going to take a look at this one. It's clearly, they spent time on it. It's really pretty. So they might want to take that. I'm not sure. Aside from that, it's not too bad. This won't take me too long. Brought Mr. Monkey back from my house. He came to my house to take a nice bath. He got a little bit coffee on him last week when I spilled some on the table. So he went home. He smells nice and clean now. And then I have this October book that I want to look at to get some inspiration and some ideas for the kiddos. And then also one of my amazing, wonderful, sweet, thoughtful parents bought for me this book called Kitchen Science Lab for Kids for cooking activities and science projects. So I can't wait to read this and look through this. Super exciting. I'm thinking about digging into these books probably next week when we have our first fall break. And it's time to get running and get this classroom back in shape before kiddos get here. I have some time. I also have to, I'm not going to do deep organization. I'm just going to put stuff away like I like to. So I might start shoving some things if I don't have enough time, because my first priority is to go through today's lessons, wrap my mind around everything I need, make sure I have all the materials and supplies, because I hate looking for stuff while the kids are in front of me. Because, that's when mischief happens, when you're not prepared. So let's get prepared. I hope you have a great Monday. Oh my gosh, please don't make it Monday. Have a great Tuesday. Monday is in the past. Have a great school day. Bye. After school, another day is over. I am tired and ready to go home. But before I do, I want to catch you up on what we did today. In literacy, first and second graders together combined are working on fables. So they're all in that group together at the same time during the literacy block. We've been reading fables, we discuss them, we have comprehension questions we answer, and then we act it out and we do activities that are related to the story. So for today's lesson, yesterday actually, we read the story of The Goose and the Golden Egg. And today we went over it, we talked about the story, we reviewed it, we discussed some of the comprehension questions again, and then we talked about alternate endings. And the kids went back to their seats and then wrote down an alternate ending to the fable of The Goose and the Golden Egg. And they turned out really, really cute, so I'm going to share some of those with you. I just want to look to see if there's a name on there so I can close their name. Okay, I'm blocking out the name. Here's one. It says, The Goose and the Golden Eggs. That's the title. There's the illustration. It says, and the farmer soon became rich by selling the eggs. And that's what everybody wrote. And then this one wrote, he waited until the next day. The farmer did not see any more eggs because the goose stopped laying golden eggs. So that was the alternate ending for this kid. So in her story, the goose decided, no more eggs for you. And then, I mean, they turned out really, really cute, and the illustrations are fantastic. This one student said, the farmer became rich by selling the eggs, then a storm came, and then all the money slipped out, and then he got nothing. That was cool. So the storm took away all the money. This one's alternate ending says, he had the money and, he hid the money and couldn't remember where he put it. That's a cool ending. He was greedy, he hid it, and now he can't find his money. And then the last one I'll share is, the next day the farmer saw a different egg in the nest, and it was a white egg, so he just ate the egg. The end. How cute are these? So today we had computer class, and my teacher assistant was really nice to help all the kids with the computer needs. So I got to work with a small group of kindergarten kids. I only got through, I think, 6 kids. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I lied, 5 kids. I thought I had 6. Maybe I'm missing. I thought I had 6 kids, but maybe I'm missing 1. So we did the same thing that we did with first and second graders. Each kid had a word. We wrote down all of their words in a word bank, just like this one. One side of the sheet is their word bank: brown, clown, gown, down. And since they were in kindergarten, they only had to make 2 sentences that rhymed. This was quite difficult for them, but they did a great job. She wrote, I like a crown, the wood is brown. It's perfect. So my 5-year-olds only had to write 2 sentences because they're 5, versus the first and second graders had to write 4. And because this is their first time writing poems, I will ask them to write longer poems in the future. So another student wrote down, I want a dog, I like to jog. And then let's see this one. I have a jet, the sun set. That's really cute. I have a rat, my mom has a cat. And the last one I'll share is, I have a bug, my mom gave me a hug. So, super, super cute. So that's what we worked on as far as writing is concerned. And then we have been working on reading our chapter books and comparing, and we're making a chart. I'll share that chart with you maybe tomorrow after school or the next day when it's more complete. That we're filling in the character, the setting, what got stolen, how it got stolen in the plot, and onomatopoeias. The kids love saying that, onomatopoeia. And that's it for today. I hope you had a great day at school. We had a great day here. Here's to another great day tomorrow. Bye. Good morning. So last night before I went home, I moved things around in the classroom. I had originally this round table centered right within the TV screen, and that just looks so much better when it's centered because it's symmetrical. But when I have it there and I sit in the middle, I'm completely blocking the kids' view. And when we're doing technology class and I need to model stuff for them on the computer and it's projected on the TV screen, I have to kind of duck and sit really, really low for them to be able to see behind me. So I decided to move it around, but when I did, it doesn't look symmetrical, and that's kind of bugging me because now I also have this empty space right here in the middle, which is kind of awkward. I thought about moving the computer table a little bit more this way. Originally, I had this centered right where you see the hashtags, so that's a little wonky when I move it over. It looks better when it's symmetrical and centered, but as far as having extra space, it makes more sense to move it this way, so it's not as close to the library, and I also have all this empty space here, so it made sense to move it over. As far as functionality of the classroom, this makes a lot more sense to have it this way, off-centered, but visually it's just not as appealing. So I'm not really sure what I want to do. I'm gonna go ahead and keep it like that for today, probably for this week for sure, until I figure things out. I also had this little small round table right next to the shelf here, but I had to move it that way because otherwise it's just too close to the table here. So that didn't work out. There is definitely that space here. I might just get rid of this table altogether. I thought about putting this table here in the middle. I actually tried that yesterday and it just looks like it's gonna be in the way. So it didn't look good there. I mean, nobody actually sits at that table to use it. I mainly just put some of our literacy centers just because I don't have enough shelving space. This works great just for them to have access to their literacy stuff. So I'm not really sure what to do with that. I just thought I'd share it with you. If you see something that I don't see or have any other suggestions, I would love to hear them. Please feel free to comment below and let me know. I also did try having the table slanted. First I tried it this way, so I will kind of have it where I could sit in the middle and not block the TV screen. It didn't work. I tried having it this way, and then I tried having it this way, which I didn't like because then I have my back turned towards most of the classroom. So I don't know. Even though I'm telling you this right now, I don't really see any other ways or where else I can put this this round guided reading table. And I really liked having it close to my file cabinet, and all the stuff behind it are things I use regularly. And moving it to this side, I'm kind of blocking the books here, but not a lot of kids go there. Actually, nobody's going there to get books. Usually they just go to the library center, so it's not that big a deal. I might just take those books out and replace it with just some of my stuff and then put those books in the library too. Not sure. I also wanted to share with you this cute lamp. My cousins actually bought this lamp for my daughter on her birthday a couple years ago, I think, and she's had it in her room, but now that she's a little older, she changed the style in her room and wasn't using it anymore, and she really still wanted to keep it. So I'm just borrowing it, and she's sharing it with our classroom, and I will return it to her whenever she wants it back. But I thought that would be a cute lamp because I've been looking for a unique lamp for our classroom, and I thought that would be perfect. Happy Wednesday. I hope everybody had a wonderful Wednesday. It is almost 6. I am again ready to go home, so I'm going to keep it brief. Something I wanted to share with you guys is the craft sticks. If you're an experienced teacher, you probably already use craft sticks for name calling, for cold calling. If you are a new teacher, this is a great idea. This helps me a lot. I actually like to have more than one set. What I have is a jar. I label it, it says, I had a turn. And then I have another jar that says, pick me, pick me. So I have all of the kids' names written on these craft sticks, and then I just pull a name from the jar. Whoever's name comes up is chosen. So the reason I said I like to have more than one set is, for example, this set, it's only for Go Noodle. So when we have our brain breaks and I need to choose the child that's going to choose the Go Noodle song, our activity that we're going to do, I go to my craft sticks. It's so hard to remember who had a turn, who didn't have a turn, and then there's always this dispute with the kids. Oh, he had 2 turns. Oh, she had 3 turns. Oh, I didn't have a turn, and I can't keep track. So this is the best way to keep track of who had a turn, who didn't. This way everybody has a turn. I love these. Also, since I have those designated just for Go Noodle, I like to have another set just on the rug for if I'm doing cold calling. I actually prefer to just cold call myself, but there are times where I want to make sure that I get to everyone. That's when I take out the craft sticks. I don't use them for every single time I want to call kids, but it's very handy dandy, and the kids like using it and seeing it. They're always like, pick me, because that's what the jar says, but they would say that anyways, right? So today in our social studies block, since we finished the unit, we have only 3 kids that didn't get a chance to do it because they were absent. I didn't get a chance to catch up with them because my first goal was to make sure that I get to work with my kindergarten students on writing their poems. There's one kid that was only halfway finished. That kid didn't finish completely yet, but everybody else finished their poems, at least their first draft. And then some kids finished their second draft, which means they wrote it again on a nice piece of paper. They illustrated it, we put it on a construction paper, they're ready to be displayed. And some kids are getting ready to write their second draft. So tomorrow is Thursday. We'll finish that. Whoever didn't finish their poetry, will finish that. That's my first goal, again, for tomorrow. And then, since Friday is the last day for our social studies unit, and since Friday actually I do art, I need to finish their presentations. The kids that were absent, they need to do their portion tomorrow. So I guess that has to be a priority for tomorrow as well. So hopefully I can get that done tomorrow. In math in second grade, we are moving on to measurements, but alongside of measurements, we are still working with place value, we're still working with adding, we're still doing little activities to make that a mental thing instead of a paper pencil or a finger thing. For example, today we worked on, I will show you. So for example, I would say 7 times 8, and the students would say plus 2 is 8 tenths. So 7 times 8 is 78. So for example, if I say 7 times 8, that's the number 78. The kids know that. And then how do you get 78 to the next 10? Meaning, how do you get 78 to 80? You need 2 more. So they would say plus 2 equals 8 tenths, which is 80. So it's the same thing that they were doing when they were thinking about their next 10 strategies. For example, if I said 78 plus 6, you need to know how many more does 8 need to get to 80. The 78 needs a 2. The 78 needs 2 more to get to the next 80. That helps them add this number as 80 plus the 4 is 84. So, I mean, since we've already been doing all of these additions with the Think 10 strategy, this is just a way to practice and get it and make it into more of a mental thing. A couple of students did struggle with that, so I did write it on the dry erase board, but normally I will not be writing it on the dry erase board. Normally it will just be me saying 8 tenths 2, and then the kids will say plus 8 equals 9 tenths. So if I said 7 tenths 2, the kids would say plus 8 equals 8 tenths. If I said 5 tenths 5, the kids would say plus 5 equals 6 tenths. So it's just a matter of thinking how many more does that number need to get to the next 10, and what is that next 10? How many tens is that? So we're still working on that kind of stuff. We did a lot of problem solving, and since we included measurements in there, we've been measuring with centimeter cubes, which are these little pieces. So today we looked at measuring with these by just using 1. And what method do you use when you just have 1 centimeter cube? You put the centimeter cube, you mark your spot, you draw a line, then you move your cube, you draw a line, you move your cube, you draw a line, just like that. And then we talked about, you know, what if you didn't draw your line? What if you moved it or you guessed it? How accurate would it be? So that's what we're working on in second grade math. First grade math students are still working on taking apart numbers. We're still building fluency within the number 10. We're still working on missing add-ins. We're doing many different ways of taking apart numbers. We're gonna work on that. This math unit for first grade is a lot longer, so they are not moving on to unit 2 yet. But kindergarten and second graders have already moved into their second units because it was a shorter unit. I got through half of my kindergarten reading assessments. About half of the class is at level B. They passed level A, which is great. So hopefully tomorrow I can pull some groups for guided reading assessments. That's the plan. Also tomorrow is picture day, so that's gonna be a little crazy. We'll see how it goes. I'm gonna go home, I'm tired. I hope you had a wonderful school day. See you guys tomorrow. Bye. Good morning, happy Thursday.
It is cold. Okay, maybe it's not cold because in Chicago the weather gets really, really cold and it's only 45 degrees right now. But I am cold. I have my winter jacket on. Last week and this week I changed up my schedule a little bit. Usually in the mornings I have more time in the mornings than I do in the afternoon as far as one lesson block is concerned. Usually in the afternoon, my lesson blocks are about an hour each. And I have to keep it that way because when the hour is finished, we switch with another teacher. So I don't have the luxury of continuing a lesson if I wanted to. However, in the morning, I think it's a 75-minute block. Yep, it's a 75-minute block. So it's a much better time frame so I can extend and have enough time within that lesson for the 2 grade levels that I teach at that time. I originally had that time set for math, which is a great chunk of time because I'm splitting it into between 2 groups. But my literacy instruction is just not enough time for the literacy aspect because that leaves me with 1 hour of literacy for 1st and 2nd grade, and half an hour a day is just not going to cut it for 1st and 2nd grade literacy. I did originally plan to, and I do push for more literacy activities during my social studies block, but that being said, it's still not enough. I need more like direct instruction time, and during social studies block I have the whole class. I have kindergarten, 1st and 2nd grade in there, so it's a lot harder for me to focus and pull for 1st and 2nd graders because I still have to manage and make sure that kindergarten students are on task, and usually kindergarten is the one that's harder to keep on task because they're younger. What I've done is I've switched around. For last week and this week I've been doing literacy activities in the morning instead of math. Since we've done math for a while, I thought I would switch it up 3 days a week because I only have 1st and 2nd grade for literacy 3 days a week, and then the other teacher gets them for 2 days a week. So for Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesdays, I've been pushing for literacy in the morning, which has worked out beautifully because it's a longer time frame. I've been doing a whole group literacy, 1st and 2nd grade combined, where we read through fables. So every morning we read a fable, we discuss it, we have comprehension questions, and then we do an activity that goes with it. And then the following day we review it, and then we do an activity that goes along with it. Some sort of writing component. So for example, we've done the setting, the plot, the characters in the story. We've done alternate endings. We've done order sequencing. We've acted one of them out. The kids really enjoyed that. They keep asking, can we act out another one? We will, kiddos, we will. And then after I spend that 30 minutes in the morning for whole group literacy, then I break them up in 1st grade and 2nd grade into 2 groups. And then I do my regular literacy lesson with each group that way. And that doesn't leave me too much time for each group, but I'd rather still do it that way and make sure I have that whole group comprehension literacy pushed in before my guided reading groups, before the writing, and etc. But that's been working really well as far as my schedule is concerned. Today is Thursday, so I don't have literacy in the morning, but I still have that good chunk of time, so I'm going to push for math, and we'll see how that goes. All right, friends, I hope you have a wonderful Thursday. See you later. Hopefully see you after school. Happy Friday. It's about 5:30. Getting ready to go home. It's that time of the day where I get to share a couple minutes with you on all the things that we did in school today, and then I am going to go home. We had a great Friday today. It's been a busy day, but we had a good day. So in 1st grade math, we continue to take apart numbers. Today we used circle magnets, and the kids worked on the board. I'll quickly show you what we did. So it was really similar to what we worked on from the day before, from yesterday. I kind of set it up just like I did yesterday. I said I gave one person 2 pieces, and then I gave that person 5 more pieces. Actually, today we worked on the number 9. So I'll change that for you. There we go. I gave the
person 4 pieces, and then I gave them 5 pieces. And then I gave a different person 2 pieces. Then I gave them so at first I gave them 2, and then I gave them 7, and the kids had to discuss, you know, did somebody get more, did somebody get less, what's going on here? And then the kids are always reluctant to say, oh, this person got more. Whenever they see like a whole bunch that are cluttered together, they just assume that's more. Sometimes when they're counting, they're miscounting and they're saying, oh, this person had more. So they really have to go over and check with each other to see who has more, who has less. And then they came to the conclusion that they were both equal because they both had 9 pieces. If they said they were both equal, they had to explain why they think it's equal. So I wanted to hear them say, because 4 plus 5 is 9, 2 plus 7 is also 9. And we were able to get there. And then we talked about, okay, so now that we did this, I want you to come up with, I told them that this is what we call them a true number sentence that is actually equal and true. So I said, okay, you know, you find a different way to make this a true number sentence. So they had to use these, or they can use their fingers or think in their head, any other strategy that they wanted to use in order for them to come up with different ways to make this a true number sentence. So they found all the different ways to make this a true number sentence again and again. So it worked out really, really well. This is what my first graders worked on it in math. After they practiced on the board and found all their combinations, they had a worksheet that went with it, and they had a homework sheet that went along with that. So they worked on those independently on their own during center time. I kind of had to go back and forth and scaffold a little bit. They still needed some support. It's just so interesting because when we practice it with doing it one way, they can find all the different parts. And when we do it a different way, all of a sudden it's just like we're doing something completely new, even though they're still working with the same numbers, whether it's in a number bond, in a number problem, or has a missing addend. They're basically doing the same thing. They're finding the partners of all the numbers up to 10. So they just need more and more practice. I'm going to continue to do that. It's still not even midway through that unit, I believe, so we have a long way to go. They also do a word problem every day in their math journals. I'll show you what that looks like. So sometimes I have a picture that I print out for them to cut out, and then we will talk about all the different stories we can tell using the picture and coming up with different number sentences. And sometimes we just draw our own, depending on what the problem is. And today's, let me find today's work. Here was today's, our math problem was, there were 10 swings, 7 kids were sitting and swinging. How many swings were empty? So the student drew out the pictures really nicely. They figured out 3, and they wrote their statement saying 3 swings were empty. I did scaffold and help with writing this sentence with them. So daily practice, every day doing at least one word problem. It's going to help them get used to comprehension, understanding, figuring out what the question is asking for, and honing in on those key details. So they're doing really good with that one. Then in second grade math, they focused on, we started with their drills. We practiced counting up and down, counting forward and backwards, starting with the number 40. They did struggle with this a little bit. It is always harder to start counting backwards. So I do this, and that means they start counting up. So 40, 41, 42, 43, I'll do this. They have to stop, and then when I do this, they have to start going backwards, 42, 41, 40, 39. So that's where they struggle a little bit, so they need a lot of practice with counting forward and backwards, because that's going to help them again with their subtraction and addition problems. So we did some of those practices, and right when we were doing those, we had some photographers coming in to take our pictures, and I saw them taking some weird pictures of me just doing this, and they're probably thinking like, what is this crazy person doing? It probably looked like nonsense. So that's okay, we did that. And then after we did some of those drills, they had their fluency sheet. The fluency sheet again is filling in numbers before, after, and in between two numbers. I believe I showed you that the other day. Of course, we had a word problem as well, and we did that in their math journals. And then we made our own centimeter rulers. So I gave them a sheet of paper like this, and I gave them each 1 centimeter cube, and then we used the method of mark and move forward, mark and move forward. So they would put their cube, mark it, and they would move 1 forward, mark it and move 1 forward. This is tedious. I told them to really take their time, do their best, because if this is off, then all their measurements are going to be off. They were all able to finish making their rulers, which is great. I talked about, these are called hash marks, the marks that we're making here. And then I did not have them write their numbers on it. It was just the hash marks. And then I told them, go ahead and find anything you want in the classroom. Find 3 things that you want to measure. The instructions were, find 3 things, measure it, write it on a piece of paper. I measured an eraser. It was 7 centimeters long. So they had to write that. And then just by the 3rd item that they were measuring, one of my students came, she was like, it would be easier if we wrote the numbers on them. I was like, yes, that's exactly what I wanted, for the students to come up to the realization that we need to number these. It makes it a whole lot easier than counting every single time. So some of them were able to go ahead and start numbering them. Some of them didn't get to it, which is okay. We'll go ahead and work on that when we come back from our fall break. Yep, we're on fall break, you guys. Excited about that because I'm gonna get so much work done. I always feel like I'm gonna get a lot done, but then sometimes it doesn't always happen because I have other obligations too. So we'll see how things work out. After that, I had kindergarten math. In kindergarten math, we did a ton of stuff, but we spent a big chunk of the day making 5s. And what I did was, so for the kindergarten students, I drew them a box, and I said we're going to focus on making the number 5, and I would give them a number, let's say this. I would say, how many do we have? 2. Okay, what do we need to get to 5? Are we going to add or take away? The kids would say add. Okay, if we add, am I going to write a plus sign or a minus sign? Plus sign, got it. And then how many more do I need to add to get to 5? Some, most of them, I'm not gonna say some, most of them knew you need to add 3 more. So, I said, okay, let's try it. 1, 2, 3. How many more did we add? 3 more. What does that equal to? Does it equal to 5? Let's check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, you got your answer correct? That was awesome. So I modeled it once, and then afterwards, every kid got a chance to come up and solve the problem on the board. While that student was on the board solving it, I had everybody else solve it on their own dry erase boards, and then I would give every kid a point. If I looked at their dry erase board and they were on task, they would get a point. So I started with addition, and then I also moved it to subtraction. So I would have, let's say this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. I would say, okay, I have 7. I want to get to 5. What do I do? The kids knew you have to take it away. What do you do if you need to take away? Plus or minus? Minus. How many should we take away? This was a little tricky. A lot of students didn't necessarily know right away that it was 2, which is perfectly fine because this is kindergarten. We had to try it out. We took 1 away and we saw it wasn't 5. We took 1 more away, we saw it was 5. And then we said, oh, okay, I took away 2. 7 minus 2 is 5. Then we double check their answer. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that's how we got to that. So this is what we practiced. We did at least 10 different ways of, 10 different examples of adding and subtracting to get to the number 5. And that took us a good chunk of time. But the kids did a really good job, so I'm really happy they did that. And then afterwards, we started talking about comparing weight. We made a game. We said, first I demonstrated. I brought up a volunteer and I had the kid open their hands a little wider, like that. And I put an eraser on one hand and nothing happened, like his hands did not move, it was staying the same. And we talked about, did his hand move at all? Is it heavy? How does it feel? It feels light. And on the other side, on his other hand, I put it away. I was going to show you a really thick, big book on his hand, and automatically that hand went down right away. And I was holding it. I didn't let go of the book because it was heavy and I didn't want it to fall on his foot or something. So the kids were like, whoa, like that was heavy. We could clearly see that it was heavy. And then we talked about if something is heavy, it kind of pulls us down. And if something is really light, I gave the example of a balloon. It might float and fly up. It's very light, so it goes up. Technically, it wouldn't go up, and I did tell them that like the eraser didn't go up. His hand didn't go up because it was so light, right? It stayed the same. And I told them that too. I said it's probably not gonna go up unless it's actually on a scale where when the heavy goes down, the light goes up because it's on a scale. So we're kind of imitating and talking about what it looks like on a scale. When I say when it's light, it goes up. And since the kid isn't a real scale, his hand didn't go up. But we played this game, so the action for light was if it's light, it goes up. If it's heavy, whoa, it's bringing us down. If it's equal, we had to show our hands like this. We played a game like that last couple days ago. For long, they would do this, short, and then tall. Their hand would go up like this. I would say it quickly. I would say tall, short, tall, short, tall, short, long. And then I would try to get them to see like if they can concentrate and focus and get to the right hand motions to match what I'm saying. So basically we played the same game using heavy, light, and equal, and they love playing that game. They play that game. I think we played one round this time. So that was great. And then we talked about, we reviewed. I'm constantly pushing in. So if we are comparing longer than, shorter than, taller than, what are we comparing? Height. If we're talking and comparing how heavy or how light something is, what are we talking about? What are we comparing? Weight. So we worked on that a little bit, and then afterwards, after we played the games, did our work as a whole group on the rug. We came to the tables. They had a worksheet that went along with making fives. They either had to cross out some shapes or they had to draw some shapes to get to the number 5. We did that as a whole group, as a class. That was successful. And then we ended it with the homework. The homework that we do in class was something really simple. It was just 2 pictures, for example, a book and a pencil. Which one is heavier? Circle the heavier one. We talked about it. And then for each one, we said it every time. The book is heavier than my pencil. The sock is lighter than my shoe. We use those sentence structures and sentence frames just to get them used to using the vocabulary words. So we did that in kindergarten math. That went successful. After that, we moved on to kindergarten literacy. What did we do in kindergarten literacy? Kindergarten literacy, we started with blends. So for example, I would say we all sit in a circle and we extend our arms out. So we extend our arms out. For example, I say ish, and then the kids repeat after me, ish, and then they have to blend it together, fish. That's the whole word. Or b-o-t, b-o-t, boat. So we did that with, I think about 10 words were already in that curriculum's list. And then I really like that they're kind of connected because I asked them how are they, what do all these words have in common? And they were able to guess that they're all things that you can find in the water, because there was boat, there was fish, and there was a bunch of other stuff. So we did blends, blending, sounding, segmenting words. After that, we reviewed our sight words. We played a game of sight words between 2 teams. They had to read the sight word. If their group read it correctly, they got a point. Whichever group had the most points, they would win. It was so close. They were like neck and neck. They were going to be a tie. And then the word was look. And one of my students, she kept saying, it's look, look. No, I know. It says look. And everybody else was saying, no, it's lock. It's not look. And the word was look. And they couldn't agree on it. So I said, okay, I have to count from 5 to 0. You guys have to agree. If you can't agree, I have to move on to the next group. They're going to have a chance to read your word. So she was like, fine, I'll agree with them, because she couldn't get them to join her side, and they couldn't get her to join their side because she was so sure it was look, because it was.
And I felt really bad for her. I was kind of hoping that she could convince them to come to her side. So she was like, fine, I'll agree with them, it's lock, even though like I can tell in her face she knew it was not the right answer. And so they lost the point because I was like, no, it was not. I didn't actually give the answer. I was like, no, that's not lock. And I gave the other group a chance to read the word, and they read the word and said look. So they got the point and they won. So that team was a little bummed, but they said congratulations to you, to the other team. So that was great. Afterwards, we did chaining reading. So I would write words on the board and then they would read them. So for example, at, and then they would read it, cat, that, dad, small CVC words. And then when we were finished with that reading portion, they went back to their tables with a sheet of paper and markers. And I would say the word and they would write the word. So it was more dictation. I would say cat, they would write the word cat. All of the sounds that we've covered thus far, we made words with those. And then after I gave them a chance to write it down, I would write it down myself in front of the overhead projector so that the kids can see what it looks like and check if they got it right or wrong and fix it themselves. So we did that writing thing. After the writing activity was finished, I kind of quickly reviewed the literacy centers that they had that they could work on, and I'll show you what those were. So for literacy centers, that book is not supposed to be there. They could play Zingo. They really like this Zingo game. I love this game for them. Or they could make their words. These are really neat. So for example, they just move these cubes around and make a word, did. And then the word that they made, they were supposed to write it by using paint, and they love painting, so that works. And then after they write this word with their paintbrushes and paints, they would make a different word and write that in paint again. So I told them to make as many as they'd like. So there was no like actual number of you have to make 5 or 6 or something like that. And then at another table, we had these rhyming puzzles. Since we are working on making rhyming poetry, this is a really relevant activity. So one table went to do this one. And while they were working on their centers, I did remind them that if I'm in a meeting, please don't interrupt unless there's an emergency, because I had more reading assessments to do. I thought for sure I would be done with my reading assessments today, but I wasn't. And it's a good problem to have, because when you have good readers, you have to continue assessing them with the next reading level. I want to say at least 3 kids that finished level C, reading level C successfully. And level D, I think, if I remember correctly, is at the end of the year goal. Meets expectation is level D, and this is still the beginning of the year, and they're passing C, which is fantastic. So we'll see when they come back from break. I'll have to continue the reading assessments then. So that's what I worked on with the rest of the literacy period while the kids worked in their centers. They do a really good job with their center time. No problems whatsoever. Once that was finished, it was time for art class, my favorite. This is when my first, second graders and kindergartners were in the room all together. Which reminds me, one of my good friends on Instagram asked what was the inspiration behind the paper sculptures, and I don't think I responded to her because I forgot, and I'm just remembering because I'm thinking about art. I have art in my mind. There was no inspiration aside from this wonderful curriculum that I found online for free that I am using this year. It is by Shelley West of Redemptive Artistry, made in 2016, and it's an elementary art curriculum. Looks like this. So on this week's art lesson, we learned all about Cubism, and we talked about Pablo Picasso and what his pictures look like and the basic simple shapes. And then we got to make our own art, our own Cubism art. We talked about looking at the face from the front view and the side view, and we talked about drawing a line for the forehead, kind of like a triangle for the nose, 2 bumps for the lips, and then kind of like that V shape for the chin. And then the front view they already had, we just drew like a little smile. I demonstrated everything with them.
kind of wonky. Of course, I didn't finish it because I was working with the students, and then I told them, make some eyes. We made the eyes on a different construction paper so it doesn't get painted on. And I made it like extra wonky, like I made a diamond shape. The eyes didn't match. I wanted them to be like weird kind of looking. And we talked about like maybe doing triangles if you have short hair, if you're a boy, and like baby hair. So my example has all of it mixed together so the kids had an idea of what to do. And they turned out fantastic. The only problem was some of the papers, I ran out of white cardstock, which is exactly what I need for almost all of my art projects. I need some kind of white cardstock. The white construction paper, when you paint on it, just soaks up the paint, and then it just gets all like, A, it rips easily. B, holes, if you put too much water, you get a giant hole in the middle of your paper. And then when it dries like all crumpled up. It's not like nice and flat. So it's really not the best paper to paint on. But I ran out of cardstock. So most of the kids had white cardstock. A couple kids just didn't get it because I ran out. But still the papers turned out really, really well. I'm really happy with how the art project turned out. After that, we played, it was one of my students' birthdays. So we sang and danced happy birthday songs in the morning. We went around the circle and said kind things to her. She got a small little goodie bag for her birthday. She wore her crown. We sang her happy birthday. We took happy birthday pictures. And then at the end of the day, we played a happy birthday game. And then afterwards, we ended it with doing the character traits. We drew a heart with her name on it. And then everybody described her good qualities, good character traits, describing somebody on the inside, which is a concept that we're pushing for. So that turned out really nice. I actually had couple of the students come up and take turns and do the writing for me. Normally I would do it. I had them do it. I have first and second graders in here. They can do it. So it turned out really, really nice. And then at the end after that, and then at the end, they passed out goodie bags. That was super sweet. And then we took all our stuff home that were in their mailboxes. A lot got done today. We didn't get to the word of the day, but sometimes you miss out. You can't win everything. We squeezed in a lot of stuff today, and it was a great Friday. I hope you had a great Friday. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. We are on fall break next week. Yes, I'm so excited because I'm going to get to sleep in a little bit, and it was the perfect time because we finished one unit. We're getting ready to go on to the next unit. This is going to give me the exact time that I needed to prepare and plan and be ready for my students when they come back. So I hope you have a wonderful weekend. I will upload a video. The next video after this one will be the one that kind of goes over the spiel of what my day looks like, because I got great feedback from my other YouTube teachers saying my vlogs are a little confusing because I'm teaching multiple grade levels, and they wanted to know what that looks like. So I'm going to take their advice and go ahead and post that video up next. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found it helpful. If you have any questions or suggestions, please comment below. Till next time, happy teaching. Bye.